work with me, you follow the rules. Rule number 1, you give me everything you've got. Rule number 2, then you give me more. And rule number 3, I make the rules.
Vader and Luke, Batman and Joker, Solid Snake and that goddamn lolly lule low. And most importantly, the biggest rival of them all, Batman and Elmer Fudd.
Be very, very quiet.
Out of your holes, you cowardly rabbits! Bang, bang! And I'll fight you to smithereens! Come on out now and let me see the color of your sporting blood!
I don't know. I saw this, and there was so much going through my mind seeing this that I had to have it. And I'll be honest, the first time I saw it, I didn't buy it, but it's been sitting in my head, just ruminating that I needed to see this very unique, interesting, really cool, somewhat ridiculous, collaboration. I needed to read it. So you all might have seen a little bit of the short I made, kind of implementing a little bit of a preview of how serious this book takes itself, but also at the same time implementing some of the most comical, wild, childish elements that the Looney Tunes brings, particularly Elmer Fudd. And I almost had an Elmer Fudd moment right there talking, but great way to segue into that. That's one of my favorite things about this book, is that it's not afraid to implement those sort of traditional trademark characteristics of Looney Tunes characters, but try to make it so serious that you just can't help but laugh. Like, the very opening of this, I posted this on my story too, but the very opening, as you open it right there, says, "My name is Elmer Fudd, and I'm hunting Playboys." That's just this entirety of this book, without, if it's anything, is that reading it in the introduction of Elmer Fudd and these characteristics is worth the purchase alone for this book. You have Elmer Fudd, Bugs Bunny, Foghorn Leghorn, of course, Daffy Duck, or Donald Duck.
You're despicable.
And, basically a ragtag team, the Martian and other basically characters. But the funniest way they do it is that they implement them all sitting at a bar.
Yosemite Sam! It's Yosemite Sam! Yosemite! Yeah, Yosemite Sam!
This book essentially opens with Elmer Fudd meeting someone that I didn't particularly even catch on who it was until I was like, holy shit, how they're talking. And it was Bugs Bunny. Now, there is kind of a creative choice of whether or not, a lot of these, Elmer Fudd's a human. He's a shorter human, but he's a human. The rest of the characters are like Bugs Bunny, Foghorn Leghorn, and whatnot are not. In this book, it kind of decides to basically, some look human / their animal characters, and then some they've just made purely human. Bugs Bunny, very much so, is just a human with Bugs Bunny teeth in this book. And Foghorn Leghorn does not look like a rooster. They still talk the same and whatnot. I personally probably would have, in a world this ridiculous, just keep them the same. If you're going to have Foghorn Leghorn, sit there and say, I say.
I say you gotta keep on your toes. What toes, that is? The fast ones get right by.
While they're getting screwed at gambling. And he's dressed up in this pimped out tuxedo. Just have him be the rooster, though. I think that would have been double the hilarious of adding on to this. Just be, you're accepting the ridiculousness of this book, so just go for it. But all in all, this story actually, the way they implemented such a serious story into this that's somewhat intriguing is really crazy. As I mentioned before, you see Elmer Fudd meeting at a bar, basically conducting like an old mafia-style conversation with Bugs Bunny about who carried out a hit. and the hit is on Silver St. Cloud. Now, for the uninitiated, that is a very famous but somewhat underutilized love interest of Bruce Wayne. And in this particular story, it's implemented in a very interesting way that at the same time before he met Bruce, or Silver St. Cloud had a relationship with Bruce Wayne, she was kind of having one with Elmer Fudd, you know, and you can talk about the logistics of her choosing the billionaire playboy versus, you know, be very, very quiet. But in a way, it's essentially, to summarize it, it's that Silver St. Cloud is murdered. And Bugs Bunny, and this is all on the back, but Bugs Bunny basically implies that Bruce Wayne was the one who called out the hit. Bugs Bunny is the one framed as actually carrying out the hit. Bugs Bunny is almost framed as a hitman. Now, throughout that, you know, that goes into a spiral-esque story about Elmer Fudd tracking down Bruce Wayne and then attempting to assassinate Bruce Wayne.
What? Say your prayers. I'm gonna blast you.
And then basically, you know, because Bruce Wayne's Bruce Wayne, so one little assassination attempt's not going to take care of him. So then Elmer Fudd, you know, after the attempted assassination of Bruce Wayne, well, Batman has some things to say about that, right? He has a little bit of an overdue meeting with Elmer Fudd at that point to see what was going on. And then it goes into a very, very intriguing story. And I'm just not wanting to spoil anything because, you know, it's funner just to read throughout it and kind of experience it all for yourself. That's the more serious tone version. Followed out by that, and the conclusion of that story is a hilarious and very true to the source sort of classic tale of Wabbit season, Duck season, implementing but Bugs Bunny and Batman instead of Donald Duck. And I like it because, you know, as I was searching for different clips for these this video to kind of implement some
Investigate and fabrication. It's Wabbit season. Duck season.
You know, characteristics of the Looney Tunes, I constantly had to repeat clips of, you know, Bugs Bunny saying Wabbit season, Elmer Fudd, them arguing, the duck arguing, and that whole, I had seen that countless times, so all the characteristics of that were insanely fresh in my mind when they implement that, because the way they do it, and you kind of just have to let, you know, just drop all of, hey, this wouldn't happen, that wouldn't happen, of course, but Batman is kind of the sucker in it, you know, instead of Duck season, it's Bat season, and Bugs Bunny really kind of gives him a run for his money, outsmarting him a little bit about what, you know, but Bugs Bunny puts a little bit of a number on Batman as far as that, and seeing Batman hilariously panels of him getting shot in the face, they incorporate the bat signal, some of the Robins, and there's a little bit of a punchline at the end that is really entertaining. It's cool, and, you know, Tom King and these writers, they did a good job. Now, as much as I'm talking all these great things about this, though, there's one essence of it, of course, that not everything's always perfect. In this case, though, I just wish it was longer, you know, and I'm not that one that, you know, quality is quality, you know, no matter the length or, you know, what could have been, you know, it really is as if they thought this was, you know, the best possible length of the story and what they could provide, good for them. But I personally think this, especially, not as so much the more fun story, but the beginning story with Silver St. Cloud, very well could have been, you know, a full feature-length story. You know, it could have been one that grasped a couple, you know, maybe 100 pages or more, implementing, you know, because the implementation of the Looney Tunes world with the Batman world is endless. You know, you could constantly think of things going on in there, and with the dark tone, it would have been really fun to see this really fleshed out. Maybe that could happen. But, you know, truth be told, that's my only really critique. I'll say you could honestly, I picked this up for $20, and you could probably finish this an entire read in 20 minutes, 25 minutes, or anything like that. But I mean, look at some of the implementation of some of the drawings in this. Like, look at how serious it takes itself. At the beginning, when you're reading through this, it actually talks about Tom King has a mark where he's like, yeah, they look on drawings on par with Batman Year One. And when you look at kind of the style they're going for, it kind of is. I mean, there's an implementation or how they introduced Batman to this, kind of outsmarting but not outsmarting Elmer Fudd, is really badass. Like, really, really badass. More badass than you would expect it would be. But all in all, I mean, this is a hard place for hard men. They won't take kindly to your presence. Come on. Elmer Fudd, Batman. Go check it out. Go read it. Have yourself a good time. This has been Hayden Barton for the Batman Tradition. Bye!